El coordinador ofensivo está en la parte de arriba. So he can see down and he can see exactly what the defense is doing. Él puede ver la que la defensa está haciendo. So he tells the quarterback that can't see everything back there maybe, and he says to the quarterback, le dice al quarterback, mira, te van a hacer esto. They're going to do this against you. So you need to do this to give you the best possible chance. And so he's up high and he's talking to the quarterback who's down there and giving him advice how to succeed when they're all trying to attack you. Le está hablando directamente de arriba, dice, ¿qué hacer? And it's the same thing with God, right? God is speaking to us from up there. He sees down here what's going on and he starts to direct us into our ear. He starts talking to us. And he said, hey, you know what? This might not be the best decision for you. I don't know if you've ever had, no sé si han tenido esa voz pequeña que Dios te habla. God just speaks to you sometime in that still small voice and he tells you something and he says, do this. And sometimes we're like, oh, I'm crazy. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes God says, give this to this person. Dale esto a esta persona. But God is speaking to us. And so the helmet is for protection here now, right? Helmet, if you didn't have the helmet back in the day, si no tuvieras el casco, they hit you there, it's over. They can hit you in your hand, you can still fight. They can hit you in your leg, you can still fight. They can stab you in the rib, you can still fight. But if they hit you in the head really hard, it's over. La cabeza is, besides the heart, is probably the most important part of your body. La cabeza es tan importante. And God is saying to be careful with this. And so we read here verse Luke 19:10. Jesus came to seek and save that which was lost. And en español, Eric, can you read it in Spanish?
The question?
Luke 19:10.
Oh, Luke 19:10. Say, Jesús vino a buscar y a salvar lo que estaba perdido. La razón que el hombre necesita la salvación es que está perdido en el pecado y no puede resolver el problema por sí mismo.
We are all messed up. We are in sin consistently in our lives. We're fractured. We continuously need God's forgiveness. Constantemente necesitamos el perdón de Dios. And Jesus said he came to save us from our own mess that we get into. And so God's intentions are to reach our life, to save us. Okay? We get that? We understand that? So we have the protection that he's talking to us about. And here he says that this is salvation. This is your hope. If you don't, si no tienes a Jesucristo como tu esperanza, ¿qué tienes? If you don't have Jesus as your hope and your salvation to rescue you from your own mess-ups, because we all messed up here. Todo lo hemos hecho. And if you're married, you've done it more than enough. You know, have you ever been married? You has hecho mucho mal. Right? And, but Jesus said, I am your salvation, I am your hope. And it can sound like such a basic thing. Se puede escuchar como algo tan base. And we could grow up in church our whole life and you could hear it and it's just, you're just complacent, you don't care anymore. It's something you just say to say it. Es algo que nomás lo dice por decirlo. But if you really take into consideration what that means, it's powerful. I remember I had 2 chances in my life where I experienced what salvation is. 2 veces en mi vida yo conocí lo que es salvación. I went to, me and my brother-in-law and his brother and my brother, we went swimming. Fuimos a nadar. And you know, in the lakes, sometimes there's a floating like dock in the middle of the lake. Hay una tabla en la agua, you know, you gotta swim out to it. And tienes que nadar allá. And sometimes it's hard to get there, you know, and it's even harder to get back. Es duro llegar ahí, and it's más duro regresar, right? So who here swims? ¿Quién no nada? Right? Most of us swim. So us 4, you know, young, strong men, jóvenes fuertes, fuimos corriendo. Like, who can get there first? ¿Quién puede llegar ahí primero? And so if you know anything about swimming, the more you exert yourself, the tighter you're going to get faster. Okay? The más rápido quieres nadar, más rápido te vas a cansar. So it's really dumb. Okay? So we all run to it with all our might, and we barely get there. Some of us, you know, I get there, and then one of them didn't know how to swim very good. Uno de ellos no sabía cómo nadar, and he barely got there. So we got on top, we're like, oh, I'm getting tired. Okay, now we can get back to land the fastest. And so now when you're going back, it's harder. It's más duro. And so we all get up, we're all like, we can barely breathe, no podemos respirar, and we jump in the water, all of us. And I wasn't the fastest, but there was another guy that was slower than me, he could barely swim. And so my brother-in-law and my younger brother, they were faster than me. And so they left us. So they went fast. Ellos fueron rápido. Los dos hermanos, mi hermano y el hermano del muchacho fueron primero, and I stayed behind, and then I stayed farther behind, and I saw the guy behind me started to struggle. El que estaba atrás de mí ya no podía. And I said, you can tell when somebody's starting to struggle swimming. Tú sabes cuando alguien ya se está hundiendo. When they stop moving forward and they just start going up, real panicky, se pone nervioso, you know there's a problem. And so I was swimming, and I'm not the best swimmer in the world, but I can stay afloat. Yo me puedo quedar arriba. Pero este muchacho, this guy started just like drowning, taking water, and they were far away. They were the better swimmers. Estos dos eran los mejores nadadores. Y yo y el muchacho no, y nos quedamos atrás. And when you're barely making it yourself, you can't really yell over there and there in the water, So, and I made a decision at that moment. Yo hice una decisión porque I know that when you're struggling to stay afloat in water, you're going to do anything you can to stay afloat. Vas a hacer lo que tú puedas. You're going to grab noses, you're going to rip eyes, you're going to, anything you could do, okay? And so I'm like, okay, I'm here, and this guy is drowning behind me now. Se comienza a hundir. And I made a decision, look, God, I stayed behind. I started slowing down, and I went back to him. Regresé con el muchacho. And I don't know how to save anybody, okay? I don't know how to do the whole saving. You put your hand around their neck. Who here's the lifeguard? ¿Alguien aquí? Okay, you know what I mean? So I don't know how to do that. I can't put someone around and just swim out, Yo no puedo salvar a nadie. But all I knew is I was staying afloat and he wasn't. So él estaba muriéndose en la agua y yo no. And so I got him close, and I was like, get on my shoulders, which is not a good idea. Le dije que se ponga mis hombros. And so he got on my shoulders and he put me into the water. And he got to breathe, and I couldn't breathe anymore. And I told him, get up, and I pushed him away from me. And I started swimming, like, go, van, nada más. And he kept going a little further, and he started drowning again. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this again. I can't do it. But I did it one more time. Because by the time I went back one more time, they got on land. Until they started seeing what was going on. And so I went back again, and he pushed me down again under the water. Y me metió otra vez en la agua el otro. And I was really drowning myself this time. I was drinking water. And then I finally couldn't do it anymore. And I pushed him away from me. Because I'm like, I'll barely go it myself. But by that time, ellos vieron y corrieron para atrás. And they grabbed him, they got him. And so when we got down, I was like, wow. That's what it is to be saved. I need double salvation at that point now. Pero has anybody here ever saved anybody's life? ¿Alguien que le ha salvado la vida a alguien? You have? It's an impactful thing, isn't it? It marks you for the rest of your life. Te marca por toda tu vida for you to be able to save somebody. If you haven't done it, man, don't hope for the opportunity. Because it's pretty scary, isn't it? Especially if you risk your life. Te metes y arriesgas tu propia vida. And so this exact experience, and the person that gets saved, they're grateful. They're like, oh, thank you. And this is exactly what God does for us. Amen. Es exactamente lo que Dios hace para nosotros. And are we thankful? Are we that thankful? Are we that thankful? If somebody were to save your life, wouldn't you be thankful? See, Jesus died on the cross, and wouldn't you be thankful? Or would he just be another fad or sería una idea ya? A lo mejor hay gente aquí I have had friends that just like to hurt themselves because it makes them feel good. And it all's in the mind, right? And she testifies that all of a sudden someone came into the room and distracted her, and she was like, and she couldn't believe what she was thinking. Your mind is such an important thing. In your salvation, knowing that Jesus Christ is your salvation, is going to protect you from the enemy. It's going to. Te va a proteger del enemigo. Proverbs 23:7, and this is the last part. For as a man thinketh, some version says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. In Espanol, Eric, how does it say?
Porque cuál es su pensamiento en su corazón, tal es él.
So however you think in your mind, you will be. This is a proverb in the Bible. Un proverbio. However you think about yourself, whatever you think that people think about you, lo que tú creas, lo que la gente piensa de ti, eso tú eres. Some people are so scared of what people think about them that they become, they have that so much in their mind and they act out what people think about them. Por ejemplo, ellos dicen que yo soy fea. They say I'm ugly. And in your mind, you start looking to the mirror and say, my nose is a little big. You know, my chin is a little big. I used to hate my chin. I got a big chin, okay? I have a big chin. And I didn't realize I had a big chin until I was at least 14, 15. Okay? Yo no sabía que tenía una, and I hated my chin before. I would try to like, when I take a picture, tomaba foto, I try to like hide my chin. Like straight forward. Yo escondía mi ¿qué se llama esto? ¿Ah? Mijada. Quijada, okay? Quijada, okay? And I believe that. I was chubby. I started losing hair when I was like 15, 16, okay? And I believe what people said about me. Yo lo creía. In my mind, I felt so bad about myself. No more was Jesus my Savior anymore at this point. Ya no más era que Jesús era mi Salvador. Era what people thought about me. It was about what people thought about me. Lo que la gente pensaba de mí. And so your mind is so important. The way you think is going to control the rest of your life. Everything. Every single little thing you think. When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? Cuando te levantas en la mañana, ¿de qué estás pensando? Before you go to sleep, when you go to work, when you're driving to work, when you're coming home, what is in your mind? Is God on your mind? Or is your worry about your bills? Or sus preocupaciones de los biles? Or is it that what he said or what she said or how I hate this or how I hate... See, your mind is a battlefield. And Jesus says, put your helmet on. It's game time. Pon tu casco. Es tiempo de jugar. And that's what God tells us today. It's game time every day. Amen. If the enemy can't destroy you, he'll mess you up as much as he can to make you a pathetic person, pathetic human being. Yes. See, the devil, el enemigo no nomás quiere destruir, y si no puede destruir, te va a hacer alguien pathetic in the world. That's what the enemy, and put your helmet of salvation. Jesus help me. So many times, I had to say just, Jesus help me. Jesús sálvame. It's just real easy. I didn't have to make an elaborate prayer. No tenía que decir una oración tan bonita. I just said something simple. Said just, God help me. I can't do this. Yo no puedo. I can't handle this.